We still haven't gone into the archive where she said it was more advanced and they might have a cure for it.
Into the what? Into the what?
The archive.
The what?
The ARK.
Yeah!
Yay!
Ow! Rep 9.
So everything led to this episode.
All circles have been closed.
It's just all the little seeds they've been dropping down, like everything just came to a head tonight.
You'd think, but every time we think that, the ARK just ups its game once more.
So many betrayals.
So, first thing they show, Trust. And he's not wearing his turtleneck. Is it dirty? Is it in the laundry? Do they not have enough water for both Angus's plants as well as washing the turtlenecks?
Maybe the turtleneck was never really there. We just imagined it. That was a possible future left over from the FTL drive.
Now, one of his groupies stole it, and they're, like, masturbating on it or something.
They got sex juices all over it from the cat encounter. I figure he's being very manipulative. So, like, when you see, like, Bill Clinton was running, one of the times he was running for office, and he had, like, an Iron Man, Timex Iron Man on his wrist. And I'm like, there's no way that absent him running in a campaign, he'd be wearing an Iron Man. He's trying to look like a man of the people, you know?
Yeah. Right.
It's like a blue-collar watch. So what does Trust do? He actually puts on a blue-collar.
He's just one of them now, yeah.
I think there should be a new classification of crime, too. You got your blue collar, your white collar, and there should be, like, the black turtleneck crime, which is where, you know, like Bill Gates poisoning everyone or something like that.
James Bond villain, yeah.
They come up on the whole, like, crux of the opening where it's like, you know, we're going to turn around and go to Ross B. Trust is initially arguing, and Garnet goes,
we can't risk everyone's lives on an idea that might work.
Like a day ago, they did their stupid as FTL experiment where they almost all died. Yeah.
They're just more interested in doing what Trust says not to do, I think, is the moral of that story. Because they were perfectly willing to risk everything on, I hope this works.
As much credit as we have given the writers for doing all kinds of really interesting twists and stuff that are kind of above what we normally see on television, I got to say that when they're writing that script, didn't anybody go like, hey, you know, that's like only a Sith deals in absolutes. It's like one of those self-evidently wrong statements that as soon as you hear it, you're just like, wait, what? Did she just? No.
They had to go to FTL, though, because they were out of fuel. So this was the only way to actually not die. So that's why they were all full on board on trying that.
I mean, out of fuel is a relative thing. I think if they would have waited around for like a week or a month, another asteroid would have flown out of it.
Basically, they were out of fuel because the writers told them they're out of fuel.
I don't know why they didn't take the fuel from ARK 3. Because they actually found signs of it.
Yeah, they really didn't strip ARK 3 very well.
Eva did take a look at her nips.
I want to see their nips.
She did get to see the nips, so that was good.
Well, it's only like the 6 main characters who actually do anything, so it would have taken them like a year to strip that ship themselves while everybody else milled around and did nothing.
They're very good at milling. I noticed that in the background. I can't unsee it.
Rob, I guess you were the one who said it initially. You pointed out the Trust. I was like, he's not really rich anymore, but he's got the command codes.
Yep, he can seize control at will.
So, quick addendum that I'm inserting. I noticed during the edit that in this picture, the name of the security protocol is OT, and they even have it neatly underlined as if to emphasize its presence. If you recall in a previous episode when they were doing the search for Lane, the whole mystery section of the ship that they ended up finding him in was called like Sector OT. That was the only record they had of it. So OT seems to be kind of a little important clue. I'm thinking, what if it's not OT? What if it's 0T? What if it means that it's Trust's designation as the original non-clone Trust? And then in future episodes, when we meet actual clones of Trust, we'll meet 1T and 2T and 14T. Think about it. Just think about it. Okay, back to the regular recording. Probably in their position, they'd go for it anyway, but hopefully they were aware that it was kind of a bluff in that, you know, okay, Trust, you took over my ship. Now, how about I torture your wife or threaten to space her ass until you release my ship?
Yeah, exactly. You're standing here vulnerable on the bridge. We can just shoot you, you know.
I guess he was counting on the inherent goodness of Captain Garnet, but that doesn't make sense because in his mind, he's the good guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But they didn't do that because, they're not on his level.
They didn't do that, no, but when they were planning their takeover, they must have assumed they were going to be like that because they think that Garnet's got her head up her ass and is dumb and is about to kill him. And here's my torture that I would do if I were Garnet in that situation. I would get a roll of duct tape or like Gorilla Tape or future duct tape, and I'd put it on the eyebrows of the wife and then rip the eyebrows off. She's got those big ass caterpillars, right? That would be like striking right at the heart of the Trust family.
It'd be like a couple of mustaches.
Yeah. Red, obviously manipulating Angus with her sexual wiles.
Oh, yeah. She's walking around with no pants on half the episode. I mean, come on.
I know. Angus has no chance. And she, again, had a hinky reaction to hearing about the course change. Everything was cool, and she was hanging back for the last couple of episodes because, they were on their way to Prox B, and then she hears that they're not going to Prox B, and suddenly...
Oh, yeah, she's got to start operating then.
No. You'd think a move for her would be, there's a lot of dissent going around. I'm hearing it. Everybody in the crew's hearing it. Why don't I attach myself to that? She stayed completely out of that.
Yeah. She should have been in the movement.
Then we had the weakest mutiny ever. That was the initial mutiny. We saw 2 different mutiny attempts. The first one was the 2 crewmen. The
thugs?
Yeah, they decided to punch the captain.
Yeah, right. Okay. We're going to punch the tardigrade super warrior. Yeah. These 2 were wildly outclassed. What were they doing?
That was just a weird situation. Yeah. Did y'all notice the whole I'll stitch myself up scene? That was pretty freaking cool. For a show that we routinely will laugh at their special effects, they had that actress looking at herself in a mirror, sticking the needle through the,
I thought that was excellently done, yeah.
That was pretty cool, except she was using a sewing needle instead of a skin stitching needle.
And it wasn't like Rambo 3 where he's trying to like put a gunpowder in his wound and going, where they like focus on it like that's the only thing happening on screen. It was just in the middle of the conversation with the doctor. They had her just casually sticking a needle through a big... And then... It's the real mutiny, not that bullshit mutiny earlier, but the real...
Oh my God, the real mutiny's happening.
Oh, betrayals.
It's in the water. So much shit has been in that water. Does anybody trust their water anymore?
I know. You think you'd have like a Brita filter, like attached to your belt or whatever. Felix was the first strike. They planned their shit carefully. They're like, we need to take all these people out. And Kat's like, oh, well, in anticipation of this, last episode, I got control of all the narcotics on the ship.
Oh, yeah, she did. I could not believe Yelena was doing that. I was yelling at her the whole time.
Yeah.
How could you betray Felix like this?
Well, she did it out of caring because she legitimately believed Evil Eyebrows Lady when she said that Felix was making emotional decisions and was all distraught.
She says you're making emotional decisions.
Yes, I'm well known for my histrionics.
Did you notice in that scene when her logic circuit glitched out? The second one of Yelena being a robot is after they've been caught and she's just sitting there and she's holding her face on as she's leaned over the table.
That's true. When they were getting the dressing down, yeah, she was clearly holding her face on Yul Brynner style.
Poor Yelena. And then they took out Bryce using the power of vagina.
Well, he's very vulnerable to that, as are most dudes.
And Kat stepping up. I guess psychological profile of Garnet. She knew Garnet wouldn't be an issue for her to take out.
Yeah. She's gained her trust, and now she'll abuse it.
Yeah. And I knew that the whole clone physiology was going to be a thing. But
I thought for sure Sharon was going to like escape and have like a Bruce Willis whole situation.
She was going to be like Picarding it through the Jeffries tubes.
The ditzy socialite was one step ahead of her. She had prepared.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole time I'm watching this, the whole thing, they're making it really obvious that Truss has taken all his cues from the wife, and the wife has his balls in her purse. And I'm thinking, like, how could somebody... He's a smart nerd, and the only reason he probably made it so big and had the corporation is all because of the wife. The wife cutting throats and making deals, and it was all her.
Right.
And she plops her ass in the captain's chair, and she's all nefarious with her big eyebrows and stuff. And I hate her voice.
I loved that one scene where Alicia says to him,
I thought you were William Trust, the genius who tried to save the human race, but you're just a power-hungry monster. What happened to you?
His wife in the background just around him.
Yeah, steps out.
That was a very well done shot.
Had to be an accident.
Had to be an accident. That was such a good shot.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was planned. I do.
Well, I wonder.
Trust gets busted popping in for a, air quotes, session with Kat.
Yeah, that was awkward.
And they were really bad at covering it, too.
And they're really bad at scheduling as well. I mean, did he not tell her when he was going to stop by?
You'd think he'd be a little bit better at his assignations, but apparently not.
She's the ship's counselor. There could have literally been anyone in the ship in that room.
Yeah, and we got the reveal of what Project Juno is and what she's been up to all this time.
Yeah, the perfect genetic mate. So basically, they're like Nazi eugenicists.
Yeah, they're doing like in How I Learned to Love the Bomb, Dr. Strangelove. They'll need like a lot more females per males, and
all right, cool reference. No, I never seen it. I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's a good, excellent. It's a fun movie. You should watch it.
It is pretty cool.
It's pre-1980, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Then I'm out.
I'll put it out there that it's a classic and you should see it, but you probably won't.
So, Kat, our question about that came full circle. Her getting the drugs came full circle. Yeah, they did close a lot of loops this episode, didn't they?
They did. A lot of things came to a head.
Mm.
Too many, in my opinion. I think they should have let a few things breathe a little longer.
Well, no, because I want a resolution, because I do not think we're going to get a second season, and I'm terrified they're going to leave it on some big cliffhanger.
The big reveal on Kelly / Red, the iPad, the wrist, wrist comm. They call it a WD. What is a WD?
WD
40.
I don't know. WD
15.
That's not till later. At first, she's just doing the little, screwing around there and saying, I need to get this fixed specifically and feel bad for me because it's my only link to ARK 3. No, it's not. I knew it wasn't. I said, it's full of spyware or something. But
I thought it was some kind of spyware thing, but just the fact that the screensaver just blatantly said in like the biggest font possible, ARK 15, and that cost the man his life.
Yeah.
She snapped that neck. And you know what? You know why she snapped the neck? Rob knows.
Oh, I know exactly why she snapped the neck. I jumped me right up off the couch and I'm yelling at the TV when it was going on.
Android.
She's the fucking android.
He knew it all along. She's the android.
Oh my God.
Or
she's got to be a clone.
Yeah, more plausible and other explanation is that she is also a clone, and clone technology has advanced, progressed, or been developed by these Arconauts.
Because Yelena still is the android.
Or alternately, she's the android.
She's an android. Kat has been revealed to be the pettiest person in the world, where she was everything we said to this point was her just being on board with Trust, and then she gets the feeling that Trust is gonna, jilt her for his actual wife, and she like, all right, I'm gonna flip now.
She's a survivor. She's a different kind of survivor,
I don't know if she's a survivor.
I think she's
a parasite.
Yeah, parasite's more accurate. You're right.
She puts her self-interest far above everybody else's, which, isn't really shocking, but almost to the point of like absurdity. But, whatever. It felt very soap opera-y.
I felt that way, but also I feel like they earned it. Like, it's like we know these characters and it's all coming to a head now. I did feel like it was very much like a soap opera, but it was good. It was a lot of fun, like seeing all the betrayals, and now they built up all these relationships, and now everyone's turning on everyone else.
I'm glad they wrapped it all up and put a bow on it by the end of the episode, but I'm like, oh my God, everything's fractured. The main cast, like the top 5, they're all split, and Eva went this way. And Lane, we knew he was going to go this way, but Eva also.
Even Lane came a little ways back. But he's still at war with himself.
In general, worst mutiny ever, because the two leaders prove themselves to be just completely batshit crazy, where everybody was just like, I made a big mistake.
I didn't like how they suddenly snapped and went all evil. That was just a little much.
They made it too easy for everything to be concluded by this episode. We were confused about Red and her motivations, but she obviously wants the ARK to go to Proxima B.
Yes, that's the plan.
Every time she heard anything about the ship changing directions, that kind of thing, she instantly stopped and paused and turned her...
Well, she had to access the next level of her program.
ARK 15 is looking for Trust, and that's why...
That's why when they first encountered them, they only fired a shot to disable them. And then they came up with their infiltrator plan,
Yeah.
Okay, that's why they didn't strafe him into oblivion. You know, because I was thinking maybe they passed too quickly for ARC 15 to have seriously like broadsided ARC 1. But no, that means people actually thought about relative speeds in space, and nobody on the show does that. So that could not be the answer. So there has to be another answer. And it nuked ARC 3 because it needed to get Kelly set up as an infiltrator. And I will point this out, and I'm going to give myself a woo for this, but I did say last episode that Kelly is an ARC 15 member. They kind of brushed over the fact that she was never scanned when they found her.
Yes.
I think she is an infiltrator from ARC 15. She is an infiltrator from ARC 15.
You did, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I totally thought of you when I saw the thing on her.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all consider this, but Kelly, big final scene. She's doing a whole android clone kidnap plot. She's the infiltrator. She even took time to put on like a real badass looking like outfit.
And when she burst in, she was accompanied by an awesome blah noise.
Here's my thought. That's not entirely what she's doing. She's doing something else. Do you know what she's doing?
What is she doing?
She's also kidnapping Angus.
Oh, because, they need him.
What do they need Angus for? Wait a second.
Because I'm really looking forward to being with you on Proxby.
He's
what do they need Angus for?
Got a plan to get plants to grow on an alien planet.
Ooh.
When she was talking to him and interacting with him in this episode, she was genuinely impressed by his ability to make plants grow and that he had a plan. There's no reason for that to have been put in this episode other than, okay, maybe they were just doing some like weird flirty shit with her and Angus. But at that point, why was she still flirting with Angus? She already had her whole infiltrator clone android plan worked out. Why are they still doing this at that point? I think she's not taking trust, but she's taking trust in Angus.
That's a good idea.
Word. So when they do their final Crimson Tide, Denzel finally wins the bridge situation. Did y'all notice the big anomaly? They did it for like a real cool moment and a cool scene, but it just didn't make any sense at all.
What?
They assault the bridge. And it's like they're planning it. They're like, okay, everybody huddle up. We're going to go in there and we're going to have like Garnet punch people because she's good at that. And maybe throw a couple of knees. And Bryce, he can get his big punch on Trust because, he's earned that. Oh, no. He's going to clamp in his ass. And Felix, you hang back and wait outside and don't come into the room until you see Miss Trust trying to escape. And then come into the right. Why was Felix waiting off screen for the entire like mutiny casting off situation? And then when Miss Trust tries to scamper out, like minutes into the whole thing, does he come walking around the corner? And is like, no, I feel
like that he didn't want to betray the trust of actually going against him.
You can't explain it. They just thought it'd be a cool scene.
I can explain it. I have an absolute explanation knowing Felix's character. I've got this. He sees what everybody is doing. Okay, we're going to go in there. We're going to get him. Nobody's in the mood to listen to his far more intricate plan. So he just lets them all go charging in there. And he's like, well, if I know Mistrust, she's just going to take this opportunity to slide out the side door. Let me just position myself right there.
But they could have lost the fist fight.
Really? No, they had Yelena and everything.
They had that big hulking mofo just standing around. That was the first time we ever saw him, and he was huge.
Alicia's awesome display of combat prowess.
Yeah. You know what that was? That was Moxie. That was spunk.
That surely was, yes. You got Bryce and a living tardigrade thing.
I think y'all are making dumb excuses.
Okay, item 2. Perhaps they do lose the fist fight.
You're still trying to defend this. This is weird.
Yes. In the completely nonsensical world in which they lose the fist fight, then at that point, Felix swoops in like a freaking superhero to the weakened guys who are already half dead from winning this.
So he was the force reserve. He was the reserve.
Of course. And if he still couldn't beat them, then he'd take out his katana and he would just murder them.
Yeah, where was his katana? Wow, you think he'd...
Yeah, this is katana time.
You'd think he'd arm up.
I know, right? It's the ultimate weapon on the ship now. He can just come in there and just start, laying it down.
Here's another thing is I like Felix. I think he's my favorite character. I think Rob agrees. Absolutely. Andrew, I don't know if you agree or not, but
I really like him. Yeah.
I don't like when the show's bad writing makes him look like a dumbass. We mentioned last episode. With the whole, okay. Now, so Kelly is a relatively slim, tiny little girl, and now she's wearing somewhat baggy clothes. But in that scene, she was wearing relatively tight clothes, and she takes a big, full-size automatic pistol and sticks it in the small of her back. Felix is trained as a Secret Service-like personal security guy, to notice weird bulges in people's waistlines, and the fact that she was able to, and you know, she did emotionally.
Maybe she walked behind him as they left the ship,
and she emotionally distressed him to get him all out of his, A game and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I just think that Felix probably would have like clocked that gun sticking out of her ass crack. And then ARK 15 shows up off the forward bow.
Oh my God. And so they try to activate shields.
They don't even do that. They talk for like 3 minutes and then decide to activate shields. They make their quips. They spend time quipping. And luckily enough, ARK 15's agenda is, let's wait for our infiltrator to kidnap and bring, and we didn't know that at the time. So I'm like, what are you doing, Captain? Order issues. Dodge, move, do something.
Yeah. Accelerate. Go.
Make something happen. But no, they're quipping.
Don't just sit there.
But unbeknownst to us, and apparently Garnett was aware that there was a whole infiltrator thing in the script.
How did they know ARK 15 wouldn't just immediately open fire? I mean, they're just, yeah.
Final thoughts, anybody? Any theories that we haven't gotten into?
I do have a couple of final thoughts. I know they're limited in the amount of episodes they can do. They really should have let the crew discontent thing marinate a little while longer. Maybe had another ship episode with a different plot and have that in the background, and then spring this all on us episode 10 or something.
So they rushed the whole mutiny.
I want to see things build. I want to see things go and percolate.
Well, in a good show, I do. In something like this, I love that they just keep moving on and they just get another thing of the week that they have to overcome, another trial.
Well, there's this like really, really like unbearably intolerable and yet at the same time like delicious feeling that you get when you watch like Dolores Umbridge in Harry Potter doing her whole Ministry of Magic thing.
Yes.
There was a tiny little bit of that in this episode, but they definitely could have done that for a whole nother episode. They didn't really like let that really awesome story mechanic marinate at all. They gave it about 10 minutes. Eva could have had so much more conflict and it could have lasted so long.
Spencer could have had so much more going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There could have been minor grumblings of what they were doing while they're in charge, and then it finally comes to a head.
Yeah, without them being just so over the top psychotic once they took over.